There are a lot of movies that get popular and become cultural icons due to their excellence, but very few that the public is aware of, and nostalgia can be tied to that. One of those movies that has become a cultural icon is Disney's The Nightmare Before Christmas. But how many people today have actually seen it? And I don't mean from an emo gothic fashion icon, I mean as a film. Because for me, after viewing it for the first time, I don't get it. It kinda sucks. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a 1993 American stop-motion film directed by Henry Selick and written by Caroline Thompson. It was not directed by Tim Burton, which I was surprised to learn about. It's influenced by his story and characters and the poem he wrote based off it, and it's easy to see why people could enjoy this film. But for me, it seems it's tied heavily to nostalgia. If I was 6 years old, I could understand why I could enjoy it, but as a fully grown adult who's never seen the film before, it's not for me. It has a lot of fun ideas and themes, but overall it has quite a few flaws that I almost never hear anyone talking about. Maybe it's because I've never been engaged in those conversations, but from the outside looking in, I've always heard how fantastic this film is. So viewing it for the first time, it took me by surprise with how boring it is. I always was interested in this world and lore, and my first introduction to it was from Kingdom Hearts, so maybe I had grander expectations to what the film will bring about, but as the movie progressed, I kept looking at the time. I couldn't wait till it was over. The Nightmare Before Christmas follows Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, who grows restless with the same Halloween routine year after year. After discovering a mysterious doorway that leads him to Christmas Town, Jack becomes fascinated by the sense of wonder surrounding the holiday. He tries bringing that feeling back to Halloween Town and faces several challenges. And that's essentially the whole story. Jack faces several issues and gets into a lot of shenanigans and ultimately is the cause of his own fault for a lot of the story. But the story, while simple, feels badly paced and written. There was never a moment where I was engaging with it. For me, what I found incredibly boring was the story and its characters. I never once rooted or cared for any one character. We're introduced to characters throughout the film, and yet we don't get an understanding of who they are and what they do and in what relation they have to Jack, despite the film expecting you to know. Like, I know who Jack is, I can base him off of old folklore, but what I don't know is about the other inhabitants of Halloween Town. Everyone else ends up feeling shallow, and Jack himself was not a character that I entirely enjoyed. He was a selfish person in the beginning, and by the end he's the same person, without having learned his lesson. Or maybe he does, but it feels hollow because the ultimate lesson is that he needed love. I don't really know. Okay, the movie throughout kept cutting to Sally, and throughout it I thought she was a new monster who was gonna be a guide to learn about this world, and she's never acknowledged by any of the other monsters. Instead, she's also an established character, but underbaked. Like, the first real scene we get to see her interacting with Jack is halfway through the movie, where she gives Jack a basket, but before that, she would always be admiring him from afar, so to me it felt like she was new, but instead in that very same scene, Jack name drops her, so he knows who she is, but we as an audience never saw what their bond was before that. It's so weird. I don't get it. Anyway, I guess I should talk about what I did enjoy. Some of the songs were okay. Well, actually, I didn't love any of them besides the first This Is Halloween song, and that's it. All the other songs felt disjointed, and they weren't really memorable to me. They sounded great, but I'm not a musical man. I honestly thought there were too many musical moments. Maybe that's just me. What really kept me invested though throughout was the top tier animation. The fact that the entire film is stop motion with real miniature sets and environments is genuinely impressive. The character designs are wild in the best way, and I love how the town feels small and we don't get to see the whole world of Halloween Town, or what this world corresponds to. And knowing that different seasons have their own doors, I would love to see an expansion of this world. And if a sequel was to exist, I wouldn't want the same setting with these same characters, but an expansion to its many seasons. And I would love it to be stop motion again. But I doubt they would do that these days, but it'd be very cool. Especially with how you can then have a blank world with anything that you want to write about. What I find really funny though is while doing some research, I find that this movie has multiple spin-off books about Sally. I don't know what they're about, and I hope they're good, because if a sequel was to ever exist and they are to do A Nightmare Before Christmas again, then I guess they would use that. I honestly thought this movie did have a sequel because Kingdom Hearts 2 exists and we go back to this world, and I was like, yo, when is this gonna happen? Nope, it doesn't happen. That's a very game thing. Anyway, I'll leave it there. And that's it for me. What did you think of this film, and how did you get into it if you did? Yeah. Alright, take care.